Guten Tag! Heute koche ich Kochklopse. Today I'm making a delicious traditional German meatball. It's called Kochklopse and it's seasoned to perfection and it is cooked in a savory stock and served in a creamy, rich, luscious gravy. It's going to be so good and I cannot wait to share this traditional German classic comfort food with you. Okay, so to make our Kochklopse, or a delicious German-style meatballs, first and foremost, I'm going to start with my stock. So, I just have some water here, but to my water, I'm going to add a few things. So, I have about 3 bay leaves that I'm going to add right in. I'm going to season it with some salt, just like that. And I'm going to add in a few capers. And this is going to create a nice stock for our meatballs to cook in. And then I have 1 large onion that I will also throw in there. So this is a really simple stock, but it's going to taste so good. And in the end, we're going to use this for the gravy. So I'm going to put this on the stove to get boiling. Perfect. Okay, and now to make our Kochklopse, our delicious German meatballs. So I have about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. You could definitely use a combination of beef or pork or whatever you prefer. Also ground turkey could also work. So I'm just going to take it all and place it in my bowl. And to that, I'm going to add some onions. So I have 1 large onion that I have chopped finely. I mean, you could even grate it if you wanted to, but I just chopped it really fine so that way it kind of melts into the meat, you know? Okay, so I'm just going to add that right in. And then I'm also going to add some Dijon mustard. And this adds such a nice flavor to the Kochklopse. So good. This is one of those recipes that literally, like when I go to Germany and I visit my mother-in-law or my husband's grandmother, they cook things like this where they're just so delicious, comfort food, and it tastes amazing. So I'm really excited to be making this recipe today. Now I have a couple of eggs that I'm just going to crack directly in there, just like that. I love this recipe because you just can put everything together and you don't have to worry. You can season it according to how you like it. So that's what makes it so much fun. So now I have some salt and pepper. So I'm just going to sprinkle it liberally over because I want my meat to be well seasoned. So we're seasoning every step along the way. We're seasoning the stock, we're seasoning the meat, and we're also going to season our gravy. It's going to be so good. I'm going to pair it with some boiled potatoes and the gravy is going to go over the meatballs and the potatoes. Also putting in some dried oregano here. It's going to be delicious. So now I have some breadcrumbs and I am just going to add them slowly. And so I'm going to work it in and see if I need more. Because you can always add, but you can't take away. So I don't want to make them too dry, but I also don't want it to be too wet. So now I'm just taking with my hand and kneading everything together. And I find that this is really the best way to mix it. So just wash your hands well and you're good to go. And this is such a beautiful German recipe. I really love that about German cooking, just discovering more and more recipes. And it's been just such an honor of mine to learn about my husband's culture and about his food. It's really exciting because I really love learning about cultures through food. So, all right, so now I'm getting everything kneaded together. It's looking so good and smelling so good already. So I want to make sure everything is well incorporated. So as I mix it, I'm just lifting from the bottom and then mixing. So kind of like grabbing with my hand, but also mixing from the bottom just to make sure that all of the mustard is in every bite. So that way you don't taste one meatball and you're like, oh my gosh. It tastes like all the mustard is in that one meatball. No, we don't want that to happen. So, okay, so that looks really good. Okay, so now I can start shaping my meatballs. So what I'm going to do is just take a piece of the meat, and you can make these as big or as small as you like them. I'm going to make them relatively big so that way we can just eat a couple and it's more than enough. So I'm just rolling them in a ball. That's all. So simple. And I'm going to continue doing that with the rest. So then when I'm done, we can pop them into our delicious stock that we created and get them cooking. It's going to be so good. Okay, so now I have formed all my meatballs for the Kochklopse, and as you can see, they are quite large. This is going to be really a hearty meal. I'm super excited about this. So now my stock has been boiling nicely. I can smell it and it smells good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it off the stove because I want to show you what I'm doing here. And I'm going to take each meatball and I'm just going to drop it in the boiling water, just one by one. And they're going to cook for about 30 to 40 minutes or until they're completely done all the way through. So I'm just going to keep on going, dropping them in one by one and let them cook, and then we will have our delicious Kochklopse. In the meantime, I'm going to start boiling my potatoes so I can have my side dish with my Kochklopse. It's going to be so good. So now I'm just going to take them out of the cooking liquid that they were cooking in, the stock. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drain the stock that they were cooking in, because this is what I'm going to use to make the gravy. So it's already been flavored by the capers, the onions, the salt, and then of course the meat that's been cooking in it for the past 35 minutes. So it's going to taste so good. So I'm just going to continue taking all my meatballs out and setting them aside. And then once I finish the gravy, I'm going to put the meatballs actually in the gravy. So this is what they're going to sit in, and when I serve it, it's going to be so good. And in the meantime, while my meatballs have been cooking, I worked on my side items. So I have some boiled potatoes that I made. I just peeled them and boiled them. Pretty traditional. And then also I cooked some carrots. So just to have an extra supplemental, an extra dash of color for our meal. All right, got a couple more right here. Just like that. Ooh, that was a big one. Oh, these look so good. All right, so now I'm going to drain my liquid. So I just have a bowl underneath my strainer, and I'm going to drain the liquid. So just want to be sure that I get all of the pieces out. Don't want any big pieces of onion in my gravy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a roux. So I'm going to melt some butter in my pan, add a little bit of flour and whisk it together, and then this lovely, the remaining stock here is going to go right in, and it's going to be so good. And now it's time to add my Kochklopse. So I'm just going to take them and put them right back in one by one. This looks so good and it smells so amazing. I mean, this is definitely one of those hearty comfort food type dishes. And it's great if you have company coming over because it stays hot for a while. So it doesn't matter if they come right on time or if you want to eat a little bit later, this will stay hot and fresh. Oh man, and check that out. All of the Kochklopse are delicious German meatballs submerged in this delicious gravy. I've got to give it a try. So I've already plated up a few boiled potatoes and some carrots. So I'm just gonna take one of these big Kochklopse, oh man, or maybe two, and place them right on my plate. This looks so amazing, and it smells even more amazing. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle the gravy or drizzle it right over, getting a few capers in there too. That is so yum. And then of course I have a little garnish. So I'm gonna take my parsley and just sprinkle it right on top of my delicious Kochklopse. And there we have it, delicious German Kochklopse, our traditional German style meatballs paired with some boiled potatoes and some carrots. This is a classic German comfort food dish, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So thank you so much for checking out this video on how to make Kochklopse. I hope that you enjoyed it, and until the next time, I can't wait to see you later. See ya. Tschüss.